So in this video, I'm going to go over 7.5.1 in our textbook, which is the range function. So the range function is very similar to the going over a list or going over a string. It just does a lot in the background for you to make it nicer. Now, it used to be that in like Python 2, I think that it would generate a actual list, but let's go ahead and open up a new Python file. So let's go ahead and do let's go ahead and go and put it into Andrew.teaching. No, not teaching. We want to put it into classroom. Classroom ITP summer. Apparently haven't pulled in a while on this one, so whatever. Let's go. What? No. Home on the range function. There you go. PY. Because why not? Might as well be entertaining here. So let's go ahead and see what the range function looks like. So now one of the cool things is that we can take, if we print out range like this, just range. You can do this to any function, by the way. Let's go ahead and do this to a less threatening looking function, less mysterious looking. We'll do this to the max function, which given two numbers, right? 2 and 5 gives me the bigger of them. Really cool function. Really useful. See? You can actually throw in as many of those as you want. And it'll tell you. But you might accidentally do this, which would normally cause an error in other programming languages like Java, but here that's perfectly fine. It just simply says built-in function max, which is cool. The reason I bring this up, though, is that we can do this to range as well, and we're going to see that it's going to say class range. It doesn't say built-in function range. It's class range, which says like that you're going to be using it to build an object, which is kind of weird. In fact, if I say range 4, we're going to get 0 to 4. In fact, let's go ahead and just expand this. Sorry. Range 0, 4. And if you remember, that means that this goes up to but doesn't include 4. It gives you the value 0, 1, 2, 3. Now, that maybe seem kind of weird. And this is because, and this is something you do not need to know, and this, I should never be mentioning in intro class, but I'm going to do it anyway, that this is a special kind of function called a generator, which remembers what it's done every time you've called it, which is kind of cool. When you learn about the functions, it uses something called yield instead of return. Totally awesome. I never learned about it, in a class. If you're very comfortable with programming, go and check it out. How to use generators and the yield yield. It's really cool. But if you're new to programming, don't worry about it. Just know that basically it's magic. But seriously, it is pretty cool. What it effectively does, and this is the part that you need to know, what it effectively does is that it gives us a list. So, by the way, right, just like I can turn anything into a string with str, I can turn anything into a list. I'm pretty sure I've mentioned that a bunch of times. And we see here that if we turn range into a list, it goes 0, 1, 2, 3. Boom. So effectively, when I say a for loop like this, for I in range 7, print I, actually let's go with 5 because that's less for me to type out later. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? It is effectively the same. It is pretty much the same as doing this. As writing that out literally. Or writing out this. Sorry. New keyboard. It's going to take me a couple months to get used to it. Seek. All right. For I in range seek. And now, so so what makes the range function special in Python? Well, it goes back to that whole generator thing. And the idea here is that with a generator, right, if I say sequence is, so if I say basically range $1 million. First off, I shouldn't have run that. It's going to take a while. We're only at 10,000. So let's stop that. But, oops, did not mean to do that. Well, as you can see, first off, be careful what you run with loops. It's important, basically, that you don't do that. Let's go ahead and pause. So with loops, it is very important that you're careful that you don't like do a giant number and print it out. But if we were to run that, right, that goes over a million. And first off, not only a pain in the butt to write out 0 to a million in your lists, that would be a long time, but also it takes up a lot of memory, and doing it as a range function is way more optimal. So that's why we have range. But effectively, it's the same as creating a list of numbers. And again, the range function works, has the following attributes that we can manipulate, right? We can say 0 to 10 to declare where it's going to begin. Okay, so 0 to 9 prints out 10 numbers. How do we know that it's going to, how do we know how many numbers it's going to print out? We know by taking the beginning and subtracting the end. So 45 minus 47, or sorry, 47 minus 45, we know that's going to print out 2 numbers. Okay. And then another thing we can do with this is we can do, and the previous trick doesn't work if you do this now, but if you do this third argument, it counts up. It's the exact same as slight notation, right? This is basically, we are going from 45 to 100 by 5s. 45, 50, 55, 60, 65, 70, 75, 80, 85, 90, 95. So it's the exact same as having a list with all those numbers in it. That's exactly the same as what range works. So that's the magic behind range. Now, let's go ahead and I'm going to summarize in the last bit of video, next video.